does your concealer crease? Have you tried almost everything and it just doesn't happen? Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Varsha. Under eye lines are human. You are human. Our skin is living. These lines are what allows your lid to move up and down and protect, like, you know, if something is like flying into your eye. Thank you, evolution. Everyone has them. It's just that they become a little more noticeable as you age. Makeup is a series of steps, so just make sure you follow all the steps before you go ahead and try this technique. Great, so I've popped on here and I have all my skincare done except eye cream. Yes, but let me just tell you what I've done. I've just done my brows, and on my skin, what do I have? Which moisturizer? Yes, I have the Bobbi Brown face base with 1 or 2 drops of the Kiehl's Midnight Recovery Oil. I would say first step to stopping your under eye creasing is to have a good eye cream on. Yes, in makeup, skin prep is everything. Now you guys know that I usually like to use my Rose Ink brightening eye cream. Surprisingly, that thing got delisted from Sephora, and I'm thinking maybe like, is she either changing the formula? What I'm using today is this Skin Fix Lipid 360 Boost Eye Cream. Funny thing about this eye cream is sometimes it does crease a little bit. Perfect eye cream for what I intend to show you. This just goes under the eyes. You can use it on your eyelids if you want, like especially if you have kind of dry eyelids. And using your ring fingers, you want to very gently tap this in because your skin under the eyes is super delicate. You need to just gently keep patting until it is fully absorbed. Now let me talk a little bit about skin in general, right? So when you are young and you know your skin is still youthful, your wrinkles are generally not that deep, right? But as we age, our skin starts to thin out and your wrinkles just deepen. Generally, when your skin is dry, it shrinks, it shrivels, and your wrinkles are at their best. You know, they're thriving, they're the deepest. But once you have some eye serum or some eye cream or like face cream, the emollients of these creams actually sink into that first layer of your skin, and it really helps plump up those lines. Suppose this is like a wrinkle on your skin. When your skin plumps up after applying a moisturizer, you know, say it kind of closes up a bit and even provide a good base for your makeup to now lie upon. So you want to really gently bring this all over to the sides and just very gradually blend it into any kind of face cream that you had. Trust me, eye cream is probably the cheapest way you can plump up and get rid of your fine lines. I think it's pretty sunken in. It looks nice and luminous, nice and, you know, healthy and hydrated. It's really nice when you can see some shine there because it just adds to that youthful looking skin. The second main thing to stop your concealer from creasing is the number of products that you apply. Let me give you a small example. Now, if you have your eye cream and then a little bit of primer, people of color, you have color correctors on top of that. And over that you have concealer. And then, you know, a little bit of foundation gets mixed in, and finally you have your setting powder. What's gonna happen? Once again, if this is your wrinkle and you have 10 layers of different products with different textures, they're eventually just gonna sink into this open area, which is, you know, the normal lines that everyone has. I mean, products are bound to build up. So I would say, 1, either you can try and reduce a product or 2, or 2, you go in really thin layers. And that's why makeup artists, if you see most of them, they work in really thin layers because you don't need that much makeup. Actually, it's going to end up wasting most of it. By any chance, if you do happen to get your foundation generally up here, you must know that foundations are formulated very differently from a concealer. Foundations have probably more emollients or more silicones, and as you know, foundation definitely has a way more liquidy texture as compared to a concealer. In my opinion, ditch that foundation. Do not bring your foundation too high up. I would say the best part to bring your foundation up to is just this orbital bone. For many people across different age groups, creasing eventually kind of reaches out here. So avoid that to ensure minimal creasing. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do my color corrector, which is something I always do. I have a video on that. I've compared 5 different color correctors, guys. I'm sure you'll find the one that you like. Can you see the difference color correction makes? go watch that video. Coming back to this one, I was just like, you know what? Let me take you on the foundation journey rather than just going like, yeah, just apply it here, because I think it'll just make more sense, right? I'm just using my Charlotte Tilbury foundation. This is quite a full coverage foundation. This is actually the Magic foundation. I don't even think they sell this anymore. But I was thinking, let me just go ahead and apply this on camera. Okay, so I'm using this brush first. I like to do like one layer of foundation all over, and we just bounce that in with a beauty blender. This is what I was talking about. As you come to this area, you see I'm not going over any of this part where I applied the corrector. I'm just going around it. And similarly on this side, you can see how I have a little bit of redness here. So I usually like to cover that and go around and come high up here into the temple. The next step is concealing. So concealer. I've come down such a long way as far as concealer goes. And there are three main formulas that you need to know about. First is the stick formula. What I have here is my Clear Depot. Stick formulas generally have a higher coverage and they're slightly drying. Also, the texture of this is generally a little more heavier. If you want a stick formula, the best way to use it is by using it on the back of your hand, warming it and pressing it into your under eye. The second formula you guys need to know about are creams. Cream formulas are generally pressed into a pot or a pan like this. Cream formulas too also happen to have a higher coverage formula. They sometimes are a little more drying. There are lesser emollients in these. Once again, if you have something like this, you can literally just go in with your finger and press it. You can even use a concealer brush. These all tools work really well. What I really love are liquid. Now, even by makeup artists, liquid concealers are the most preferred ones because they're easy to apply and extremely easy to blend. These also allow for some extra playtime, especially if you want to manipulate any shadows or, lift anything, clean anything up on your face. Liquid concealers really work the best. In my opinion, this can be actually blended out with something like this, which is like a nice full coverage brush. You can even use it with one of these really fine brushes, or honestly the way that I like to use it is by using a beauty blender. I mean, I know that beauty blenders usually pick up a lot of product, but this is the way for me. Recently, a lot of companies have been coming up with self-setting formulas. The main one to mention is the Makeup Forever self-setting concealer. I've never tried it. I'd love to, but I mean, these are working fine for me. I'm going to be safe with the formulas, and what I'm going to be using is this Born This Way concealer. I've taken a little bit of that concealer on the back of my hand. And like I said, I like to use the beauty blender. So first, I like to spread this over a larger area. So once we tap with the beauty blender, just a thin amount gets picked up. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just start stamping this. Something that has actually been working for me is I like to look down this way and then I stamp it. And what this does is that the skin kind of closes this way. So when you apply your powder and your skin stretches again, nothing really goes in because everything's just like kind of lying on top of the skin. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe you guys can also try this. Look down and just like apply it here. And I'm actually going to show you how I used to do it on this side. I used to like go this way, like look up and really like go into my concealer this way. I feel like when you do this, once again, the skin is completely stretched out. Eventually when you start looking straight, it starts to crease. So this way is the best way for you, and this side is what I used to do. And finally, the last step is setting your concealer. There are two formulas again as far as setting powder is concerned. One is the pressed one. This is Charlotte Tilbury. I've seen so many makeup artists use this, but for some reason, I don't know what I'm not doing right. I will eventually get this right, but many makeup artists use this powder and they get flawless results. But for me, whenever I just use this powder, it just creases eventually. So I'm definitely not doing something right. And other formulas are very light setting powders. So one is obviously the Laura Mercier setting powder. Everyone has this. It's translucent, it's amazing. Second one is actually also a Laura Mercier setting powder. This is called a Secret Brightening Powder. And to be honest, I think between these two powders, this one is way more finer. But be careful, this one has some flashback. And third is obviously my absolute favorite. This is the Givenchy Prisme Libre. I hope I said that right. But these powders are so finely milled, and setting is like that with this powder. To apply these powders, you can do it with a more fluffier brush. I will demonstrate how I used to do it on this side with a brush, because I used brushes for the longest time and I always had creasing. Second is a beauty blender. I feel like a beauty blender was also something that I generally creased with, but what really worked for me is this. A lifesaver. These are just the triangular powder puffs that you get on Amazon. Super cheap. You don't have to buy anything too expensive. Your finger fits right in this way. I like to generally roll it up. This point is nice and pointy here, and just go right in. So here's what you should actually be doing. As soon as your concealer is kind of ready on your beauty blender, don't go in with it right away. Take your setting powder on the back of your hand this way. Keep your triangular sponge or anything that you use ready. Trust me, by the way, any kind of sponge will just change the game. I zoomed you guys in a little bit because I wanted to show you that right now there is creasing. I don't know if you can tell, but if I lift up the skin, I'm sure you can see a little bit of creasing happening on both the sides. Here's that one rule of makeup. Once you go in with a powder over your concealer, it sets it. It's like putting a hot iron on a cotton cloth. If you have even one single crease in there, it's just gonna iron it, set it right there, and no matter what you do, it's not gonna move. That crease is gonna show throughout the day. So the best thing to do is you have to take that beauty blender, blend out any creasing that's actually there, and you have to immediately go in and set it with your powder. Blend this out upwards. Always go upwards. Don't do it too harsh, just really softly. And as soon as you feel that it is well blended out, you want to kind of like look in the same direction and just go straight in and set it with your powder. Just like that. And ta-da! Your creasing is gone. Now I'm sure on this side you can see that there's already like a crease forming there. And this is what I used to do before. I used to take my brush and kind of like saturate it with the powder, and I wouldn't really go and blend that out. I would just take like this fluffy brush and I just go and set it right just like that. And what this does is it just proof marks, or I mean, it just makes that crease just stay there. I mean, temporarily you won't be able to see it. Powders are there. It's kind of softened up the line a little bit. Now, if you ever found that you did something like this and it just kind of creased up, honestly, the best thing to do is actually remove off any of your concealer and corrector. Oh, wait, let me zoom you out a bit. So the best thing to do would be to remove off all your concealer, or by any chance, you can kind of just warm your finger this way, just like rub it together, create some friction, create some heat, and just like lightly press over it this way. Apply some warmth. It may, just may, give some warmth to the concealer, and maybe you can just go in with your beauty blender that way, and then just go in once again with your powder, and it may make a difference ever so slightly, but obviously nothing too major. So once again, let me go over. Apply your concealer with whichever preferred way, your beauty blender, your finger, your brush. Keep your sponge with your setting powder ready, and as soon as you put down your beauty blender, your puff comes into your hand and you lightly press it. That's it. That's like the one thing that's just gonna sort out all your creasing problems. Like really, you can even use this technique around your mouth here. I mean, I have some fine lines here. So generally, you know, when I'm done with my foundation, I immediately just go at least around these areas here, and I see no creasing. It just stays put, like no matter how late I hang out till. Now I'm gonna do the rest of my makeup and I'm gonna be right back. Just follow these steps. I guarantee you your concealer is gonna stop creasing. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Finally, if there are any problems you face, any kind of question, just leave it down in the comment section below and I will help you get through it. But remember, everyone has lines and makeup moves. It eventually settles in those lines. Alright, see you guys soon. Take care and bye-bye.